I've never actually opened this, so I'm not 100% sure.
Wait, can I see the keys you're using?
Yeah.
These are the original keys used at the Joliet Prison back in the 1800s. All right, so who do we have here? We've got...
This is Brian Conroy. He's a museum assistant at the Joliet Museum. I'm Greg Peerbold. I'm the executive director of the museum.
And unfortunately, I've managed to somehow choose a filter. So this prison tour is going to be a little awkward because, as you see, Zombie Schoolboy, it manages to put a sleeping cap on our host. This is going to be the most surreal.
Why not?
How do I make that stop? How do I make this stop? How do I take this filter off? So that,
are you on Snapchat or something?
No, I'm on Facebook Live. But now he's got he looks very sleepy.
I would just leave it, honestly.
Oh,
I just took the thing off.
Greg, can you get this? I've never.
All right, so we are going into the old Joliet Prison.
Where'd that flash go?
I don't know. This is awful.
There we go.
Oh, there's your filters, ain't it? No?
Yeah. Oh, this is stupid.
Oh, there's a
there
flashback.
you go. Hey,
Oh, now,
like
okay, now everything's normal. Oh, now this looks cool.
Like a pro. Now it's cool.
Look at this. All right, look, it's Zombie Schoolboy. They just performed in the car. And now we're actually walking in. Oh, this is creepy as fuck,
Keep
gentlemen.
that light on.
And it's cold. There's no heat in here.
Please,
We are walking into the old Joliet Prison.
do not close any door behind you.
Oh, dear.
Can't stress that
This is
enough.
how every bad movie starts.
Yeah.
So
Some
this,
of the good ones, too.
this is the administration building?
Yes, this is the administration building. This was home to the warden's office to the right here.
My hand's cold. I can't hold my phone. It's so cold.
Yeah, it's going to get cold.
You have gloves?
I'm ignoring the gang
We're working
graffiti.
on- We've actually removed something like 800 tags out here. so
Seriously?
far. Yes. And
I'm assuming this is lead paint.
Yeah, how much asbestos am I sucking in right now?
not much.
Oh, good. And who wants to live
So
forever?
so the warden's quarters originally was on the second story here. Opulent, you'll see kind of the woodwork around here carries through up there. This was the warden of the Joliet Prison, dating back to 1858. It was a sought-after political position.
Yeah.
There was a lot of prestige with being warden here. This was an internationally known prison, even decades before the Blues Brothers came to town.
Well, can we jump around a little bit? What notorious criminals have done time here?
So we've had Leopold and Loeb. Before Leopold and Loeb, we've had Adolf Lutgart, the Sausage King Killer of Chicago.
Damn.
That's an interesting story. Richard Speck was here.
Richard Speck. Oh, right.
Yes.
Were those videos shot here?
No, those were in Stateville. So, Joliet often gets confused. It was co-managed with Stateville, which is the still active maximum security prison. They were operated concurrently. So a lot of high-profile inmates like Speck, they were transferred around and stayed, over here and over there.
John Wayne Gacy was here for 21 hours.
Gacy was here for 21
Very
hours.
briefly, yeah. So this was not the first state penitentiary in Illinois history. It was the second, but it later became what was called NRC, Northern Reception Classification. So that meant that you were, if you were processed in the northern half of the state, you were coming here first.
Your outlet's flashing.
Yeah, there's
What?
a red light on the outlet.
It's like flickering.
Where are we looking?
Well, outlet right there.
Can you not say anything to freak us out right now?
I mean,
That'd be great.
it's just flashing, right?
All right, so this is cellish. What am I looking at here?
So this was actually designed to protect the elevator.
Oh, okay.
Strategically, you would want to make sure that any kind of tactical area, the armory, the elevator, anything that could, provide transportation, was kept protected from the inmates. So
Jesus.
we're going to walk through the edge of the building here out to the yard.
To the yard.
Yes. And you'll see that the site, you probably noticed it from the outside, is massive. It is 16 acres inside the walls.
16 acres.
Yes. And it's surprising to a lot of people that there are nearly 24 different outbuildings, looked and felt and functioned.
Holy shit.
Again, the castellated Gothic architecture. And really, there's a lot of fascinating things out here. Please watch your stuff.
Yep.
But one of them, the architecture, and you have different eras of buildings over 150 years that carry this respect for the Joliet limestone and kind of the original architecture, but it really, as you paint around, it has a campus feel by design. It was meant to, again, function as its own society and be self-sustaining.
Now, Greg, as someone who runs the museum, it seems like a weird position to have. Like, for me, the most frightening possibility for any person's life is to end up in prison. Like, to end up somewhere like this. Right?
Yeah.
What's it like being immersed in prison culture every day?
That's a great question. A guy was kind of joking around earlier that it becomes your office and you forget. Like, I will show people around who have been in here for the first time, and they're agape, they're shocked, they want to take a picture of everything, and I'm just kind of like walking. It's my Wednesday, and I'm just oh, sorry,
just
like,
another day at the
first time
office,
here.
right? Yeah.
We'll usually tell people, because we have to stop people, because usually on tours, people want to stop and take pictures, and we have to tell them we have to keep them moving. Because we have wayside signs on some of the buildings. So I've actually told people, okay, take a picture of the sign. You can go back and read later.
Yeah, exactly.
So
wow. So this is the prison yard. This is massive.
You just learn like a lot of really crazy historical things that just collided here. Ida B. Wells was here for a capital case when she was, in the 1920s, talking about prison reform.
Wow.
Talking about African American men being unjustly targeted for prison, again, almost a century ago. The Haymarket people were here very famously. So, there's those kind of political things. It's not just serial killers. It's, how huge of a Chicago story was Haymarket.
Chicago is not just for serial killers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, great. We have our tagline. We've been looking for some branding.
Exactly. Not just for serial killers anymore. We embrace political.
So we're going to go down here. Follow me.
How you doing, Zombie Schoolboy?
We're live.
So is this where the Prison Break stuff was filmed?
Yeah, Prison Break was filmed here in 2005, 2006, and really the first season it was by design.
Was it out
it was throughout the whole place, literally in hundreds of locations. So
Illinois State Penitentiary, Adlai Stevenson governor, Michael Seifert.
This was really the only time that the prison was remodeled in 150 years. It was closed as early, or calls for its closure as early as 1906, and so these are the remodeled cell houses from circa 1950, and Joliet always had a dungeon-esque reputation, and certainly
I can't imagine why.
This reinforces that.
Jeez.
You have 40 cells on each row here, 1 to 2 people. You see it's kind of situated in a 2-story balcony gallery setting. So there's 80 cells here, 80 cells on the other side of us, and another 80 on top of us. So there's approximately 740 cells in addition to the solitary confinement cells, about another dozen or so. So about 750, 760 cells. When the prison was built, there were 900 cells. They were 4 foot by 4 foot by 7. One of those cells was taken out of here and reconstructed, and it is actually still here. So
we'll actually
maybe we'll see that next. What do you think?
Okay.
Okay, so I mentioned the original building is still with us, and that is in the center there, that very ominous.
I'm pointing my phone right at it.
Yes.
This was also home to death row in Illinois from 1927 to 1948 or thereabouts. We have records of approximately 12 individuals who were electrocuted on site here.
Wow.
This building originally was built out to right about where we're standing. Newspaper accounts place the electric chair on the second level, about 20 feet from where the second level gallery was. That electric chair was since moved over to Stateville and X House, where it still resides today. But this is also the original location where 53 inmates came from the original state prison in Alton on May 22nd of 1858 and began
1858
building the site around themselves. Yeah, as one of our Quinn, who is involved at the administrative level of this project, has said to other people, this was here before Lincoln was a thing.
Right. Right.
So it's old, and this building is from 1858.
What is the original first building that was built.
Why do I hear noises? Why do I hear
Part of the
noises?
story, unfortunately, is
Wait, you
arson.
guys hear noises?
I heard something over there scurrying.
Yeah, don't like that.
We have woodchucks and critters, and
Yeah,
we
let's
actually
keep 'em
found
moving.
2 black cats out here. I'm not kidding.
Great.
They were called the Prison City Kitties, and their names are Jake and Ellie.
Of course they are. Of course they
So,
are.
Yeah, you guys
This
wanna
is
go in
just-
a sec here?
This is just distressing.
So we've actually had, if you were here even 2-3 years ago, you would have seen a massive network of fences and overgrowth. We would have been chest high in weeds. And the Joliet community really, I was beginning to say that part of the story here, if you look at those buildings behind you, is arson. There were 4 acts of arson between 2013 and 2017. Our mayor finally just said enough was enough. There were 2 acts of arson in one summer here in 2017, one on Memorial Day and one on August 28th. And the community, there was some skepticism about this. Joliet, kind of for better or worse, had a reputation as the prison city that many people were happy to put in the past. But as we said, this place has defined us for 150 years. And why don't we come together and define it?
Yeah, I agree.
And we still
Own
have,
it. Yeah.
I mean, we still have people who come to the museum who they want to come to the prison. They ask about the prison, what's being done with it. Until we started this, we had to tell them, there was nothing
Look
going
at
on.
this.
So this
Okay.
inscription has been in the floor at least since the late 1800s.
Wow.
That's a banner, just kidding.
It's never too late to mend.
So this was, kind of an admonition. Usually if you were getting processed here, one of the first places they would take you was solitary to show you what happened if you broke the rules.
Yeah, you don't want to go to solitary.
Yes. So this was later used in the Blues Brothers, in the kind of iconic ending scene where they're doing Jailhouse Rock.
Mm-hmm.
This is painted on the wall behind them. Of course, that was filmed on
Now
the stage. A lot of the first scene was filmed on site here, and actually the warden is still a part of our group that greenlit that.
Now I totally need to go back and watch Blues
You
Brothers.
will want to watch the intro to Blues Brothers. You'll be like, I saw that.
And then once you look at it, when they pan out, you'll be actually able to identify all the buildings that were there.
So this is what one of the original, to give you an example of the cells. That is a mock-up of an electric chair that we used for an event. That's not the real thing,
yeah.
but the door is the real thing. Yet very heavy iron bars. If you continue to solitary was not enough of a convincing you to mend your ways. Let's say as late as the 1870s, 80s, all the way up to the 1900s, you'd be shackled to the door in standing position on a ration of bread and water. Not only would that door close, you would have a heavy door like this to totally shut you in.
That is sick.
I mentioned one of the original jail cells, and this usually shocks people. There's a lot of shocking things out here, but this was one of the original cells that was rebuilt out here in the cell house. And you'll notice there's a bunk in there. This was 4 foot by 7 by 7. These went 4 high in the east block, 5
Oh
high in the
man,
west
this
block.
is tiny.
And these were the cells all the way up till the 1940s.
Like there's no room to get out of bed and even stretch your arms out. Wow.
By 1877, it had become, the population had become very overcrowded. So imagine 2 or 3 guys in that one cell.
It's unthinkable.
Nearly 2,000 people here after 20 years. That was the impetus for building Chester Penitentiary in the southern half of the state. And you'll see a lot of these series of these plaques. And you'll see on the plaques is Warden Joe Reagan. Warden Joe Reagan, a name well known not only locally here as a longtime warden of Stateville and Joliet, but just in the corrections, industry, if you will, in general. Really saved the prison. There were calls for it, plans for it, instructions for it to close in the 1940s. Actually, the wartime production kept it going. There was a textile factory here where they made uniforms for the GIs that kept the prison going. And Reagan, after the war, was able to get, a major appropriation that kind of remodeled the cells.
That's the guard tower, right?
Yes. Another feature is a network of tunnels, which we're standing on top of right now. That center tower is actually only accessible by tunnel.
That makes sense.
The underground, they would run utilities there. The guards would be able to, in the event of an incident, be able to access the armory underground, so they wouldn't have to go through the yard. And again, you see just this campus-like feel. The powerhouse is to our left, the boiler house. and smokestack.
Now, for the guard tower, there was, they didn't want the inmates to be able to get to any weapons or to overpower the guard up there. So there is actually a tunnel. How you get in there? There's a tunnel that leads from the administration building. That
Which is
goes,
where we
and
started. Yeah.
Yes, and there's a ladder inside. So
Right.
So the guard would go in.
So
there
they were
and go
secure at
up
all
the
times.
ladder,
Right.
Pull up everything that he would need for that day, and he would be him and the guards in the corners of the prison. They would be the only ones who were armed. Those who were on the ground had no weapons at all.
Makes sense. It can't be overstated how big this is.
Yes.
How many acres again?
16 inside.
Damn. Zombie Schoolboy, you keeping up?
One of us fell off.
Well, he's dead.
He got too cold.
The groundhogs got him.
I can't feel my feet.
So as far as tours go, oh yeah, it's so cold. I keep trading hands for holding up my phone. As far as tours go, if someone wants to go on the proper museum tour,
Maybe we can see him inside the building.
Yeah.
wait, he really did
We're
take off.
locked in. He's not going to get far.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
He went back up front.
He took the keys. He thought he was going to go back, but you can see his phone in there.
All right, so if someone wants to go
There's
on
only one set of keys out here.
if someone wants to go on a tour, Greg, what do they?
Yes.
How-
We're going to go to JolietPrison.org. We've pretty much ceased tours for this season with the cold weather.
Yeah.
And as you can tell, I mean, this is... You
It's
would
a
be
little
doing
rough.
normally an hour and a half tour out here.
there's no way I could
And you would see
Yeah,
a partial little bit of the site. We did do some haunted tours, and people came out. I mean, in the snow, in the rain, if we were doing them, we had a 90% show rate most
Wow.
times. So
It's fascinating. I mean, it's just this is something that, knock wood, most people don't ever see.
yeah, and I mean, it's such a part of Illinois and Chicago history too. Like, it's so closely associated with Chicago. A number of stories. Obviously, the Blues Brothers. I mean, this is where the movie starts. You know?
Yeah,
And it's
exactly.
like, it really sets the whole tone. And I mean, I was actually talking about this with Dan Aykroyd himself about how there's this juxtaposition of, in the same period, you had the Blues Brothers and you had John Landis, and kind of like North Side, South Side, right? And I mean, Landis really got what the South Side was about. And,
Oh yeah.
you know, blue collar factories, grit, and this was a huge part of that. And Joliet has just historically been a huge blue collar, and Chicago's blue collar. You know, I mean, literally and figuratively. So,
God, I thought this was a neon sign in the distance. I thought, oh, that's unusual. No, it's just a big green sign. That.
Yeah.
So what happened in the visiting room?
there would be visits.
From
Sorry.
family. And
Yeah, this is where, you know, if you had a family or a friend in here, you'd be able to visit them. You'd be processed outside the facility, searched, your belongings searched, obviously. The inmates would come in this way, obviously from inside, and then you would come in if you were visiting someone from the front where we came in earlier. And then here we are back again.
This feels like a ghost tour. I know it's not, but it feels like.
Well, you know, this is a place that I said you don't need to exaggerate anything
No.
for it to be scary.
For real.
Yeah, that's wild.
This is fascinating.
We're happy to have you. Actually, a little warmer. You know, November it could either be 70 or it could be 10 below.
I cannot tell you how hard I'm going to crank that heat when I get back in my Mazda.
It like is a really deep cold too that you feel when you're in here.
Oh yeah, it's a raw, wet cold.
Upstairs too?
no.
Not at this time. The tours are limited just based on where we, you know, kind of building issues and where, you know, we might not have some issues. Actually, you know, here's one of the most shocking things about this prison that was open until 2002.
Yeah.
So,
Ah, Jesus! Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
oh, you got to sell the product. Okay, all right.
God! All right, I'm going to flip the camera around real quick. We're going to wrap this up.
Yes.
Thanks for the tour, guys.
Thank you.
Ooh, look at that.
Thanks for coming out. Yeah.
And look, it's Zombie Schoolboy.
I survived.
Who played in the car earlier. But Greg, thank you. This is
Yeah.
wow. This is so super cool.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching on Facebook Live.